the first question, we should use the graph which is on the right side of our screen to answer or to fill in the blanks these questions. We see that the function is starting to be decreasing until the point with x coordinate equal to 0. Then it continues until it reaches the value 3 of x, where we have a gap here. Then it will end at the x coordinate equals 5. So as we see here, this is a piecewise function, and because of this arrow we understand that the function has an outcome for all negative values of x. So the domain will start from minus infinity until we reach the point with x coordinate equals 3, where we have a gap. In this gap we have 2 points, one empty point in the value of y equals 2 and one full point in the y value equals 4. So we understand that 3 has an image by this function which is 4. That's why 3 will belong to the domain of this function. Then the function will stop at the value of x equals 5, but in 5 we have an empty point, saying that 5 does not have an output through the function f. So that we deduce that the domain is the open interval minus infinity 5.
In the second question, we are asked to find the range of the function f. So of course, when we talk about the range, this means that we need to find all the values of y taken by the function f. And as we see here in the graph, the minimum value of the function is 1. And because of the left side of this graph, we see that the function takes all the values which are greater than 1. So we deduce that the range of this function is from 1 to infinity. And the third question, we should determine the interval where the function is increasing. Then it is increasing on the interval 0, 3. So the function here is increasing on the open interval 0, 3. For the interval where the function is decreasing, we will be interested on the left side part of this function. So as we see here, the function is in a decay starting from minus infinity to 0. So the answer here is the open interval minus infinity 0. Whereas the function is constant on the last part or on the last piece of this function, which is on the interval 3, 5. Now for the solution set of the equation f of x equals 2, so to answer this question properly, we should start by plotting the line with equation y equals 2. Then we study the intersection of this line with the graph of the function. So as we see here, the line intersects the graph of the function in 2 points. At the point where x equals minus 1 and in the point where x equals 3. But as we see, point does not belong to the graph of f. So by consequence, it does not belong to the intersection of the graph of the line. So we can say we have only one intersection, which is in the point x equals minus 1. So we conclude that the solution set of the equation f of x equals 2 is s equals the singleton minus 1. Now for the y-intercept of the function f, obviously this is a very simple question, since the y-intercept, it is just the intersection of the graph of the function with the y-axis. And as we see here, that the intersection is at the point where y equals 1. So the only y-intercept that we have here is 1. Finally, in the last question, for x in the open interval 0, 3, the graph of the function f, is a line with the slope m, so we have to determine this value of m. First of all, we can see that the line here is increasing, so we deduce that the slope is positive. Also, we know that the slope equals the rise of run. So if we take these 2 points at x equals 0 and x equals 3, we can see that the rise equals 1 and the run equals 3. So we deduce that the slope equals 1/3. In exercise number 2, we consider a line L1 with equation 6x plus 3y equals 1. In the first question, we should find the value of a parameter a such that the point with coordinates a1 belongs to the line L1. Here we must use the fact that a point belongs to a line if its coordinates verify the equation of the line. So we should replace x by a, then y by 1, and solve this equation for a. So we get 6a plus 3 times 1 equals 1, which means that 6a plus 3 equals 1. Now we move the 3 to the right side of the equation to get 6a equals 1 minus 3, which means that 6a equals minus 2. Now we divide both sides by 6, and we get a equals minus 2 over 6. Simplifying this fraction, we get a equals minus third. In the second question, we should find the slope m1 of the line L1 and its y-intercept. Let's recall first the equation of L1. So the equation of L1 was 6x plus 3y equals 1, and we should say that this equation is in standard form. To solve this question, we have 2 or 3 methods, but I think that the simplest method here is to transform this standard form to a slope-intercept form so that we could answer this question in one step. So as you see here, if we succeed to transform this equation in slope-intercept form, we will get the slope and the y-intercept. For this end, we should solve this equation for y. So first of all, we move the 6x to the right side of this equation, so we get 3y equals 1 minus 6x. Then we divide both sides by 3, and we get y equals 1/3 minus 6x over 3, which means that y equals minus 2x plus 1/3. So we deduce that the slope is m equals minus 2, and that the y-intercept is b equals 1/3.
In the third question, we should write in standard form the equation of the line L2 perpendicular to L1 and passing through the point 1, 2. So let me say, to answer this question, we should make a small action plan. Here in this question, students must know that there are some steps. In this question, students have to decompose this question in 3 or 4 steps and make a small diagram in which they will write the first step, the second step, and so on. So to find the equation of the line which is perpendicular to L1, we know that in the first step we should find the slope of L1. So the slope of L1, which is m1, and which we note from the previous question, which is equal to minus 2. And in the second step, we should apply the rule saying that L1 is perpendicular to L2. This is equivalent to say that the slope of L1, which is m1, times m2 equals -1. Now, using this relation, we can find the slope of the line L2, so which is equal to -1 over m1, and which is equal to -1 over m1, which is -2, so the slope m2 is equal to half. Now, in the third step, we should use the point slope form of the equation of a line. So the point slope form, which is y minus y1 equals m2 times x minus x1, where x1 and y1 are components of a point from which the line L2 will pass. So here we have this point, which is the point 1, 2. So if you want here x1 equals 1 and y1 equals 2. Now I think that everything now is ready to find the equation of the line L2. We have y minus y1, which is 2, equals to m2, which is half, times x minus 1. But of course we don't have to stop here, because we are asked for the standard form of this equation. So we should manipulate a little bit this equation so that we write it at the end in the form of ax plus by equals c. So let's start by developing here the half, and we get y minus 2 equals half times x minus half. We get minus half x plus y equals minus 2 will go to the right side, 2 minus half. So that we get minus half x plus y equals 3 over 2. We can stop here, or we can make this question prettier. So we can multiply by minus 2 to both sides. Minus 2 times minus half, this is 1, so we get here x minus 2y equals minus 3. In exercise number 3, we should solve the quadratic inequality 2x squared plus 2x minus 1 greater than 0. We should write the answer in interval notation. So as usual, we should begin by the first step, which is solving the quadratic equation 2x squared plus 2x minus 1 equals 0. And for this end, we will use the quadratic formula, which is x equals minus b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. So let's start by computing the discriminant, which is b squared minus 4ac, and see what's happened. So here a equals 2, b equals 2, and c equals negative 1. So that b squared minus 4ac will be equal to 2 squared, which is 4, minus 4 times a times c, which is negative 1, which is equal to 12. So the square root of b squared minus 4ac, and write it in a nice manner. So this is the square root of 12, and we know that 12 is 4 times 3, so that this is 2 square root of 3. So here is the situation. So here we have two solutions. x1, which is minus b, means minus 2 minus 2 square root of 3 divided by 2a, 2 times 2, which is 4, and x2, which is minus 2 plus 2 square root of 3 divided by 4. Okay, now here is the situation. We have a quadratic function, which is 2x squared plus 2x minus 1 with the positive a, which is equal to 2 here. So its graph, it must be a parabola which shows up. So we have two zeros for this function, which are x1 and x2. So, and we deduce that we have this situation. So the graph will be in this form. So x1 is a negative value, as you see here, whereas x2 it's a positive value, which is very close to 0. So it's like a parabola in this form. So let me say that this point is x1 and this point is x2. Now from this graph we can deduce that values of x for which the function is positive is when the function is above the x-axis. So as you see here, we can say from minus infinity to x1, and also the function is above the x-axis where when x is greater than x2. So this is the right side of x2. And we deduce that the solution set of this equation is s equals to minus infinity x1 union x2 to infinity. In the second question, we have to solve the inequality absolute value of 2x plus 1 less than 3 and write the answer in interval notation. So we recall that when you have the absolute value of y less than a, where a is a positive value, this is equivalent to say that minus a is less than y less than a. So we have a double inequality here, and what plays the role of y here is 2x plus 1, and the value of a, of course, is 3. Now we have to eliminate 1 in each side of this inequality. We get minus 3 minus 1 less than 2x less than 3 minus 1. This is equivalent to say that minus 4 is less than 2x less than 2. In the final step, we have to divide this inequality by 2, so we get minus 4 divided by 2 is minus 2 less than x less than 2 divided by 2, which is 1. So the solution set here is the open interval minus 2, 1. In the last question of this exercise, we have to solve the inequality absolute value of 1 minus x greater than or equal to 3, and also to write the answer in interval notation. Also, we recall that when you have the absolute value of y greater than or equal to a, and a is a positive value, this is equivalent to say that we have either y greater than or equal to a, or y less than or equal to minus a. Replace y by 1 minus x and a by 3, we get 1 minus x greater than 3 greater than or equal to 3, or 1 minus x is less than or equal to 3. Now we have to solve each inequality separately. So in the first one, we subtract 1 to both sides. So we get 3 minus 1, which is 2. So minus x is greater than or equal to 2. Then we divide by minus 1, or we multiply by negative 1. It's the same thing. And don't forget here to switch the inequality. So instead of greater than or equal to, it will be less than or equal to negative 2. For the second inequality, we have the same thing. So we subtract 1 to both sides. We get minus x less than or equal to minus 3 minus 1, which is equal to minus 4. Then we multiply by negative 1, and we get x greater than or equal to 4. So the solution set here is the union of two intervals. The first one is negative infinity to minus 2, and we close in minus 2 since here we have a large inequality. Union 4 to infinity, and the close of 4, the same thing. So here union of the two intervals, minus infinity minus 2 and 4 to infinity. Exercise number 4 is about percentages. In the first question, the Oregon area has 5,000 residents who live within the town borders and 1,200 residents who live outside the town borders. What percent of the total population are living outside the town borders? So here we have two kind of populations. Let me say we have 5,000 residents who live within the town borders, whereas 1,200 residents who live outside the town borders. So we can see that the total number of residents is equal to 5,000 plus 1,200, which is equal to 6,200. Because we need the percentage of the total population which lives outside the town borders. Now the rule is the following, so which is 1,200 divided by 6,200 times 100%. And this is equal to 19.35% if we round the result to 2 decimal places. Question number 2. In a small town in New York, the population has been slowly declining. In 2009, there were 2,087 residents, and there were only 1,560 residents in 2019. What is the percent decrease? To answer this question, we should first begin by computing the difference between the total population in 2009 and 2019. So the operation is 2,087 minus 1,560, which is equal to 527. We recall that to find the percentage of decay, we should make the decay divided by the original value times 100%, which is equal to 527 divided by the original value, which was in 2009 2,087 times 100%, which is equal to 25.25% if we round our answer in 2 decimal places. Question number 3. Shafira had collected $7,200 in sponsored event. She gave $2,232 to her local youth club. She gave 40% of the amount collected to a children's hospital. She gave the rest of the money to a mountain rescue group. In the first question, we are asked to find how much money did Shafira give to the children's hospital. So for the children's hospital, it's the second information here. So the 40% of the total amount of money was given to this hospital. So the operation is 40 times 7,200 divided by 100, which is equal to $2,880. In question B, we should find how much money did Shafira give to the mountain rescue group. For the mountain rescue group, this is about the third information. She gave the rest of the money to a mountain rescue group. So if we add up the two first amount of monies which were given to the local youth club and to the children's hospital, we found that the amount is $2,232 plus $2,880, which is equivalent to $5,112. So the amount of money which was given to the rescue group is $7,200 minus $5,112, which is equal to $2,088. And the last question, we should find what percentage of the $7,200 did Shafira give to the mountain rescue group. So we remember that the amount was $2,088. So we divide this amount by 7,200 and we multiply this fraction by 100%, which is equal to 29%.
So I hope that this video will be helpful for you. Try to answer the essay questions with very clear handwriting. Go step by step to avoid any mistake. You can send me your comments about these exercises on the link below. And thank you for watching this video.